Hello students, welcome to today's grammar class, class 8. Today's topic is sentence pattern. Are you ready to learn sentence pattern? Okay, before going, you might have seen so many flowers in your area. Each one of that is unique with its pattern. Have you observed different leaves? It has different patterns. Like that, in English also, in the sentence, there are different parts. Let us start today about the sentence pattern. First, let us check what is a sentence. A sentence is a group of words which gives complete sense. For example, he hard is your first example. This is the example for sentence. Let us check some abbreviations for the sentence patterns. Abbreviations are important components in a sentence. First one is subject S, next one is verb V, third one is object O, complement C, adjunct A. Is further classified into two. Number one is direct object DO and the next one is indirect object, it's IO. These are the abbreviations used in sentence patterns. So let us check the basic sentence pattern which are there in 8 sentences. SV is the first simplest pattern. Here we have the example, child laughs. You can say and you can frame so many sentences. So take a noun and add a verb. This gives you the sentence pattern SV. I talk, you play, he works. Like that, you can frame as many sentences as you can using this SV pattern. SVO is the next pattern. I play hockey. What do you play? You play cricket or something else. You can replace the game with some other game and frame sentences for SVO pattern. It's your exercise. Okay. The next pattern is SVC. That is subject verb complement. He is smart. You are smart. You are brilliant. Like that, you can frame sentences for SVC. The next pattern is SVOC. I painted the car blue. So you can change the vehicle and the color and frame some sentences for SVOC pattern. Next pattern is SVIDO. My father presented me a watch. Here my father is the subject, presented is the verb, and me is the indirect object, a watch is the direct object. SVDOIO, she gave money to the poor. Here, she is the subject, gave is the verb, money is the direct object, and to the poor is indirect object. So these are some examples which you can see. And let us check what are the components of this sentence. First, we have seen some examples where I have told you about subject, verb, object, complement, other things. You might ask me, so what is this subject and what do you mean by verb or other adjective, complement? I don't understand, sir. Please explain all this. So for that, I'm giving you the answers. First, let us check with the basic thing is subject, basic which comes in a sentence always. It starts with, most of the times, with a subject. Subject, the abbreviation we learned like S. Let us check the definition for subject. To get subject, ask the question who before the verb. Okay, you should ask who has done this, who have done this, like that. Who, It consists of a noun or a pronoun and occurs before a verb. This is the clue. So you have got a clue how to identify a subject in a sentence. When you ask a question who, and in any sentence who has done that is the subject. So let us check some examples. So some other tips I can give. Subject number one is consists of nouns and pronouns. And another tip is it occurs before a verb. First example is Nancy danced well. Here Nancy is the subject and ask the question who danced well? So it gives the answer Nancy. So Nancy is the subject. So second example is the child broke the glass. Ask the question who broke the glass? So the child is the answer. Then you can easily identify the subject. Okay, in these two sentences, Nancy and the child are subjects. Let us check the expansion for verb. A verb shows an action or activity or work done by the subject. This is what verb. Generally, when you hear the word verb, you immediately think of action word. Yes, not only action words, state also comes under the verbs. Let us check some examples. And it also tells the status. To get the verb, ask what does the subject do. First we have seen like in subject, the question is who. You should ask who. Now you should ask what does the subject do. What does the subject do or does? Okay. And the examples are Saravanan wrote a letter. Here, what did Saravanan do? He wrote a letter. Verb consists of two items, auxiliaries and finite verbs. So we'll check some examples. He is a doctor. Is a B form of verb. James wrote a letter. Wrote as a main verb. The baby is crying. Here, auxiliary verb plus main verb is the example. So I have told you two types of verbs. So we'll check some auxiliaries for examples. Am, is, or, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did. These are auxiliaries, and modals can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must, or some modals, and there are some semi-modals or quasi-modals as well. We'll check some examples. Dare to, need to, used to, ought to. All this comes under verbs. So we'll check some finite verbs. These definitely denotes actions. For example, talk, sing, write, make, dance, play, cook, live, teach, sleep. These are some examples for action verbs. You can also check many examples and you can also write A to Z verbs. Try like A for act, B for bowl, like that. You can try to make your own A to Z verb list. Okay. And I'll give two tips. Verb occur after the subject and verb occur before the object. Okay. Remember this, verb comes after the subject and before the object. This is the tip you can keep in your mind when you are finding the verb. The next is object. To get the object O, ask the question what or whom. Okay, these two questions will answer for the object. What is for things and whom is for persons. So when you ask the question what, it is for objects. And when you ask the question whom, it refers the persons. Persons may be nouns or pronouns. You have learnt it in the previous itself. Let us check some examples. He bought a pen. What did he buy? A pen. So it is an object. He handles the computer. Who handles it? Then it goes for noun, and we are asking about what does he handle? What? So computer. Then it comes as an object. I saw him. Whom does he meet is like him. This is also object. Object consists of nouns or noun phrases or noun classes. What can come under object is nouns, noun phrases or noun classes. All these three comes under object. So in this examples, I like animal, the pattern is SVO. So what does you like? You like animals, then it's object. It answers for the question what do you like or what does he like, then object. So we have learned it is further divided into two objects. One is direct object, the another one is indirect object. So let's check direct object. Direct object always answers for the question what. Example, I like animals. What do you like? Animals. So next one is indirect object. It answers for the question whom. The examples are subject, verb, IO and DO will take a pattern. I gave Reena a pen. So whom do you give? It's to Reena. So whom comes under indirect object. What do you give? It's a direct object, a pen. So remember what is for direct object and whom is for indirect object. Next we'll move on to the complement. Generally, if we think of the word complement, it's a tip or you're good, you're nice, you're smart. So I'm giving you a complimentary word. So here complement means the words required to complete the meaning of a sentence is called as complement. These are called as complements. Say for example, he is a dentist. You can change the profession like he is a teacher, he is a doctor, he is any scientist, or he is a news reader, or he is an anchor, or he is an engineer, like that. Anything which comes after auxiliary verb is, if we remove that part, the sentence won't be complete. So the part which completes the sentence is complement. We'll check the next example. She named the boy John. Here, if we remove the name John, it is not complete. The main thing is that what is the name given for the boy? So it's incomplete without that. It grew dark. Here also dark is a complement. Let's check the definition for this. The words required to complete the meaning of a sentence are called as complement of a sentence. Complement came from the word complete. So when you hear the word complement, remember complete. Complete the meaning in the sentence is one tip. Without it, the meaning is incomplete, otherwise the same. Without the meaning changes. So when you remove that, the complete meaning changes. So in this also there are two types of complements, object complement and subject complement. Object complement answers for the question how. It is asked on the object. Example 1, he painted the car blue. How did he? Painted in blue color. How did he paint the car? Here the word blue answers the question how used on the object car. So it is an object complement. Example 2, we call Kamarajar as Karmaveerar. So they selected her a leader. Here also these are object complements. So some other complement examples are, it occurs in two patterns, SVC pattern or SVOC pattern. Let's check first SVC pattern examples. He is a dentist. She became a journalist. It grew dark. These are examples for SVC pattern. Then we'll move on to the next type of complement, that is subject complement. The complement which expresses the identity or condition of the subject is called subject complement. Example, she is a doctor. She looks sad. Next is object complement. The definition is the complement which expresses the quality or identity or condition of an object is called object complement. Example, they made her angry. She called him a liar. So we'll check some examples for this. They are students. She was angry. It seems beautiful. So students, angry, beautiful are examples for complement. So let's check some examples for SVOC pattern. The complement tells about the object. The complement and object are of the same person or thing. So let's check some examples for SVOC pattern. They called Shankar a genius. They elected Mani as a leader. So these two are examples for SVOC pattern. Next we will move on to the abbreviation A, which means adjunct. Adjunct, to get adjunct, ask the question where, how, when or why. For example, my father is a farmer in Tiruvarur. So Tiruvarur answers for the question, where is your father working as a farmer or being a farmer? So where, it gives answer. So all this question, think of this, where, how, when and why. I can say easily, if you want to remember adjunct, it is an additional information. If you remove that also, the meaning will not change. Okay, so that you can easily remember this. So we'll check some examples for where will be a place. Say for example, here, there, in the sky. How is a manner. How do you come to school? By bus, by cycle. And the next, how do you prepare this? By mixing. How? So when, now, later, when young. And why is the reason? Due to cold, under compulsion. These are some examples for where, how, when and why. So let's check the basic sentence pattern in English grammar. We have seen the abbreviations and the explanation for each, like subject, verb, object, in object, direct object and indirect object, adjunct and complement. All these five you know thoroughly about what is that. And when we combine these patterns comes, there are five basic patterns: SV, SVO, SVIO-DO, otherwise DOIO, SVC, SVOC. Remember, there is a note, adjunct or adverbial could be added to all these five patterns anywhere. It could be at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, anywhere you can add this adjunct. So that pattern may be ASV, SVA, SVOA, AO, like that it can be. So let's check some examples for each of these patterns. So I'll give you one small example developing a sentence so that you can easily remember how this pattern improves. Let us check with the verb play. I take the verb play. It is more interesting for you when we take play. First example is he plays. This is example for SV. He plays cricket. This is example for SVO. He plays cricket in the playground is an example for SVOA. He is a batsman. So this is SVC. My uncle gifted me a bat. This is example for SVIO-DO. So these are the five basic patterns. Let's check more examples for each of the patterns. For SV, birds fly is a famous example. He run, we play, I cook, you sing, you dance. Any example you can write. This is very easy. And check the examples for VO. Pardon me, call him, try it. And SVO, there are examples like I finished the work. I liked chocolates. Dilip helped the boy. We received the parcel. She sings a song. They did a lot of work. He resembles her father. Many students witnessed the play. I want one of these books. A huntsman pursued a wild animal. Many critics criticized the play. So next we'll move on to some examples for SVA. He came to the school. They came suddenly. It is going away. The train arrived late. Some more examples for this. They will come later. It rained last night. She worked in a bookshop. He reads slowly. So next is SVC pattern. We'll check some examples. They are players. Her father is a doctor. Check this. When you remove the complement, the sentence will be incomplete. I am an Indian. The class became noisy. Her eyes were beautiful. Mother Teresa is a social worker. The leaves turn yellow. Her dreams have come true. They worked hard. The tea is getting cold. ASV pattern, some examples. Soon we wake up. Immediately he replied. Suddenly she asked. Yesterday I came. Tomorrow she leaves. So some examples for SVOC. They made him a captain. They named him Robert. They elected him the president. They made him the mayor. He made his son a doctor. They selected Arun as a leader of the school. The news made his name popular. She recognized him as a genius. He painted the wall white. So let's check some examples for SV, IO and DO. We wish you a happy new year. The principal gave him the medal. He gave her a watch. She sold him her house. Paul gave his wife a gift. The headmaster showed her the result. He sent us some foreign stamps. The doctor gave her medicine. She offered me a handshake. They sold him pictures. Next, some examples for SVOCA pattern. She made her views clear at the outset. The company appointed him clerk last week. They named their baby Sarah in the church. They took the child unconscious to the hospital. She made his intentions clear now. She had made his life a success long back. I lost my purse with money in the bus. The governor has sworn him as a chief minister yesterday. SVOA pattern examples. The boy kicks the ball with force. She made a new dress yesterday. He threw the chair out. You will understand the truth one day. She met her father last week. She shot the tiger at once. SVOA pattern examples. He wrote a letter from Paris. They want money immediately. He dragged his shoes forcefully. They had their lunch in the late hours. Now SVOAA. I met Sarah in the theater yesterday. He practiced football in the ground last month. Everyone relished the dinner in the hotel yesterday. She enjoyed the musical recital immensely yesterday. SVCA, some examples. The child fell asleep soon. You seem tired today. It is dark everywhere. She became wise thereafter. They reached home late. The train left the station on time. She got well soon. He became popular at once. I am a programmer in this company. She acts well at all times. My father is an engineer in India. He got well slowly. I'm principal here. This is example for SVCA pattern. Dr. David is famous in his locality. Veni is a doctor in Tiruvannamalai. They elected the mayor last week. Dharani was elected as a chief last month. Some examples for ASVC pattern. Every day she was late. In broad daylight she fell unconscious. Often Anil got mad. This year, she is the captain. During daytime, he is an honest man. ASVOCA. Examples are, in the end, the judge declared the culprit innocent after the trial. Yesterday, the man murdered a woman in rags mercilessly. In ancient times, people shot deer dead in the forest. Last month, they named the child Ravi in their house. Next Monday, we will paint the car red after the meeting. Every day, she noticed the poor half dead in the street corners. Last night, she gave him food. This is example for ASVIO and DO. Last week, he gave his son new shirts. Every day, she teaches them science. Everywhere, people gave the president a gift. During lunch, I served him ice cream. Some examples for AASVC pattern. In the prayer hall, during worship, they are silent. Next month, in Mumbai, they have a meeting. Every week in her garden, she is at work. Last week in Paris, she worked as a professor. These are some examples we have checked, and we have learned so many things like S, V, A, C, O, and in O there are two types, DO and IO. You remember and recall what are the expansions for all this and the definitions for all this. Try to write down some examples for each of these patterns. Now let us move on to the exercises. Choose the right pattern. Here we have the question and followed by the options. The wall collapsed. The options are SV, SVO, SVIO and DO. The second question is, during the war, many people lost their homes. Options are SVO, SVIO, DO, ASVO. I promised the children a trip to the zoo is the question. The pattern is examples SVO, SVDO, IO, SVIO, DO. In 1998, Frank moved to London. The options are ASVA, ASVO, SVIO, Pooja hired a bicycle. Options are SV, SVOC, SVA. Let's check the answers now. The wall collapsed is an example for subject plus verb. The second option is, during the war, many people lost their homes is the second question, and the answer is ASVO. The third question is, I promised the children a trip to the zoo. The option is SV, IO and DO. In 1998, Frank moved to London. The right answer is ASVA. Pooja hired a bicycle is the question, and the right option is SVO. So here you have some patterns and you are going to write an example of your own. You try your own example. So I am giving some of my examples here. SV, taking cook as the verb here. You can also take one verb and try to develop into different patterns like this. That's the end of today's class. Meet you in an interesting English grammar class soon. Until then, bye-bye.